Welcome. It is episode 18 of Wired Together with your host, Melanie Winter.
And Jason Winter.
And I will actually say the title of this one, it'll be on the screen, but also it's just fun. Yeah. Ctrl Alt Deceive.
Yeah, definitely kind of interesting, and it will make sense as we go along. But
so, yeah, we're not necessarily beating a dead horse, but we have been mentioning more than once on the fakeness of AI and how do we navigate through this? How do we navigate cons? How do we
Sure.
So we have mentioned this in small little tidbits. This is kind of more of a deep dive, and it is I'm going to call this one a fun fact day.
Yeah.
So we've done some digging.
Kind of looking historically, that
right.
if AI is used this way now, when it first came out, it's, oh, it's cool, and then all of a sudden now, even your grandparents or your kids will be like, oh, that's AI, and it's like, wait, you're now using that word? It evolved very quickly, but yeah, it's kind of
right. Well, in our premise is everything's just kind of a sandwich on itself. So
it is.
Pretty much how we operate with Wired Together and Internet Web is that old and new foundation. So
sure.
Technology is really just things that have changed to either make our life easier or harder throughout history. But for the same thing, the human experience, the history is still very much the same.
We love the history. It really kind of puts things in perspective.
It does. And so,
it's like we've done this before. Or
people raising kids in 2025, we use a lot of history, our personal histories, especially when it comes to that kind of thing, where, we want to teach certain things that are just, have always been.
Right.
That real true foundation. So, that spiritual foundation, that belief system, who we are as people. And so our children are, they learn a lot about these things, not just in the technological world,
right.
But, it's a deeper dive.
Sure.
So, the human matters
definitely.
In the whole thing. And so, one thing that, that we kind of get a lot of that these days, nowadays.
Yeah, all this comments.
Is this, so we do live in an area where we've got more retayees than we really have that young family. And so a lot of, when technology just kind of has gone way beyond where...
Oh, sure.
What
the comfort level.
Right. Your comfort level is, it all of a sudden becomes, well, I don't believe anything, or
right.
I'm done with all of it. I'm done with these days.
Sure.
Done with, and so we kind of wanted to go into, are we really being duped now more than ever?
Right. Yeah.
With cons, with technology, with, what's happening now,
right.
where things are, it's not hard to con people now because you can con them online. You don't even have to see them.
With the technology, it makes it that much more, I guess, ubiquitous. It's
right.
They can really reach you quite easily.
And so it does kind of feel very forefronted. It does feel very, violating.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, I totally agree with that being that's terrifying.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, that's kind of... Internet Web is here to help.
Yeah.
That when things don't look right, don't feel right, guess what? They're not.
We're reached out
call
several
your
times.
Most trusted, valuable person that knows technology and ask if that's not right. Because if it feels not right, it's not. But are we just only duped now?
Right.
Not necessarily.
I don't think so. I've had plenty of examples, and I know you're talking historically, but I got a comical one if you want to hear it.
Sure.
And this is, our oldest daughter was maybe 2, 3, I guess, and I know, yeah. So, and looking online, finding Christmas gifts and everything, and I find these bean bags. I'm like, she would love to lounge in a bean bag in the living room, read a book, whatever. So I'm looking at a bunch of them, and of course you look at one, then you're scrolling and looking through a bunch. And then I almost decided on one. And then in like the other products you may like, I saw an Elmo one. So I was like, all right, let me click on that one instead. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Add to cart, order. I'm like, good. Pretty good price, $25. Elmo beanbag and everything. So it showed up in the mail, and it was about the size of a small orange. And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, how criminal. Like, and then I'm sitting there thinking, but I didn't read the reviews. And now, see, I read reviews, probably a lot more now because of that story. But
right.
I read the reviews.
Now you read reviews.
I read the reviews of the other ones. I just got trigger happy and went, no, I don't know about the unicorn, or whatever. Elmo, that one. Click, figuring they're all the same. But no, I was wrong. I have no idea, whether looking back, whether it actually gave the dimensions. Probably gave it in millimeters or something. Oh, that looks big. And, but yeah, so I have a $25, I could put it on a keychain, pretty much.
So she doesn't have a beanbag, or didn't.
Right.
Really doesn't now, but pretty much a hacky sack.
Yep. Yeah, it's a hacky sack. It's about a hacky sack. Yep. So, yep. Those things happen, though.
So, we do get duped.
Yeah, we do.
I do remember the idea of being duped.
Oh, yeah.
As a small child, not, being from here, I didn't see a whole lot of people I wasn't, didn't already know or wasn't already related to,
Sure.
And not that we were that closed off, but, you do, living in a small area, you're familiar with where you're going and people and stuff like that. And as a young child, we went to New York City.
New York City?
It was Christmas. It was kind of that Christmas time period. We went to the Rockefeller Center and all of that.
How incredibly terrifying. No.
Well, as a small child from the sticks, it was terrifying.
Right, I bet. That's like.
But I had my parents, and they had been, so
sure. They traveled and all, and it's what it is.
Definitely familiar with cities, so I felt like I was with trusted people. But it was the first time I actually learned about like the duping on the streets, the people that would stand there with the cases or in their jackets of
like the trench coat salesmen,
like the items of watches and stuff like that, and they're not real. They're fake,
right? Yeah.
And so I remember my father explaining that they're selling these things, but they're not real.
Right.
So they're saying. I don't remember the watch. It's big time watch at the time.
The Seiko, Rolex.
Rolex,
there
yes. So it's like it's supposed to be Rolexes, but they're not. That kind of thing. Yeah. And I'd never seen something like that before. I did not know that kind of thing existed. Mm-hmm. And to me, of course, as far as shopping and brand names was nothing. I didn't even think about it, but it's a thing, to like the brands of stuff, and so being explained. Well, this is a fake watch. It's like it looks like a watch to me.
I know it looks like. I saw it. He showed it to me.
Right. So I remember being very confused, but also that was that first kind of concept of I guess that con.
Yeah, well, then you realize
that could happen.
Yeah, so, wow, I need to
on the
up.
streets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gosh, that's interesting.
So we're kind of talking in that historical nature of being conned,
right?
Or being duped, or the fake news of things.
Sure.
And we've all been to a carnival.
Well, yeah, and those games are rigged, as we all know. But,
right.
And it's like, look, see me do it. Yeah, because you're standing behind the table and you're at that angle or whatever,
and like magic shows and stuff like that. It's technically just duping,
like,
but
they cut her in half.
Doing it in such a way that's, at least fantastic and interesting, and you're entertained.
Exactly.
And just like the fellas on the New York streets,
mm-hmm.
It's entertaining. Most people were ignoring them.
Because they knew.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of, it loses its,
it's kind of an old world kind of concept.
Right.
And of course, they're not trying to dupe you online. Like, with your story with the beanbag, oops, we did purchase something that was not even close to the, what we thought.
Right.
But,
yes.
So kind of going into like the fun facts of cons through history.
Yeah.
So like the earliest kind of notable con, and you can pronounce that.
Oh, it's Hegestratus. We were cousins.
Hegestratus.
Hegestratus, I guess. It's Greek to
me. Hedgie sounds like a great,
Hedgie, yeah.
That's what I want to call him.
Good old Hedgie. Yeah, it's Greek to me. I mean, literally. But about 300 BC, so we're kind of doing some research historically on, is this concept more part of the modern era, or how frequent is the duping, if you will? So this guy was a sea merchant, and he took out a loan on his ship and the cargo and all that kind of stuff. And then after selling the cargo, he pocketed the loan money. And because as far as the arrangement, if the ship ever sunk, he would get, his money back and all that kind of mess. So then he decided to sink the ship. He was caught in the act, and his crew, while he was trying to escape, I drowned him, so he didn't get away with it, I guess.
Right. Was not a very good con artist.
No, I mean, and hopefully someone took notes and was like, I could have done that better.
Right.
But
not a surprising thing for a con to be about money, of course.
Oh yeah, usually it is. It's the currency we all.
It's not a new concept. This is a very old concept. I mean, we're talking 300 BC.
Yeah. So that's
some people will do anything for money.
That's right.
And, so that's the, like the lost air people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know.
All over the place, especially it's more notable in the kings and queens and that kind of thing.
Sure.
That, there'll be this lost air that comes out.
Oh, I mean, if you win a lottery ticket now, you'll find family you didn't know you had. I mean.
Right, exactly. It's like, I don't think I know you.
I don't think, right.
Mm. Well, it happened to Carnegie too. It's sometimes in American history,
financial,
right, and that financial gain is that taste of something like that. So people con all the time on especially with money,
right?
Which brings us to our next con artist, which would be like the most notable of historical con artists.
Yeah.
The snake oil salesman.
Oh yeah, the snake oil. Yeah, that's just snake oil.
Right. And we say it all the time. This actually is a person who started the original.
Thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Clark Stanley.
Okay.
He is considered the original snake oil salesman. He actually was selling a snake oil that was supposed to just do anything for you. Heal you of all your ills.
He did it for it's popular. Wow.
And so we're talking like late 1800s.
Okay.
That kind of time period.
In a time period where, like, if we were to talk to, say, our elders, if you will, that they would talk about things that are much more wholesome when I was a child, or
right.
But of course they weren't a child in 1800s.
Everybody was
even.
Wholesome back in the day.
It was kind of like this thought process. But we're inundated with it now. But back then, you knew who your snake oil salesman was. You knew who. He took a loan on his, ship. Well, he kind of person.
Right.
So you kind of know these people almost by name, but I guess when it all gets together.
Well, I believe he was a traveling salesman, so that's probably why he was able to be.
Oh, he left town, went somewhere else, and played the same rig.
He wasn't somebody people were familiar with.
I got you.
He was traveling. And so that was the time period of traveling salesman, which, was a really great thing.
I think there's an episode on Little House on the Prairie we saw. Mm-hmm. Remember the guy with the wagon showed up and they were trying to sell something and all that, and it was kind of the hesitancy of all of that. And it was,
you'd become hesitant when you've got this small group and you trust everybody in the group, and then all of a sudden this new guy comes in.
Yeah, it's like, who are you?
Are you really going to trust everything that they say? So,
right.
Well, Clark Stanley made sure that no.
Okay.
You should not trust everything they say.
Right. What a snake.
And the snake oil ended up being like they were able to like break it down, and it was just mineral oil with some additives like beef fat and turpentine. It was not anything that was going to actually help you.
Right. But it feels so nice. So, well, what else we got? Who else has really been pivotal, would you say?
Oh, and what? And most of us have, or I guess, may have heard, some have heard, the Brooklyn Bridge salesman.
Oh, yeah, I remember something about the selling the Brooklyn Bridge.
So this is more of the 1860s, George C. Parker. And we're getting, at that time period, a lot of immigrants.
Right.
Not English speakers, coming to America.
Yeah, hoping to.
Right. They're already being told, before they come, you've got cheap land and you've got, lots of opportunities and stuff like that. So he's actually using a lot of that concept and the fact that they're, new and trying to sell things like the Brooklyn Bridge. He did more than just the Brooklyn Bridge, but for the most part, he was considered the Brooklyn Bridge salesman.
Right,
so
he was that guy, yep.
He would pretend that with paperwork, that he owned the Brooklyn Bridge and trying to sell it to these immigrants.
Oh, wow.
And so they thought they would get something cheap that was really big, and that would be, they would get something from it.
Sure, yeah.
And so he sold it more times over. So
right, exactly.
Mean, very, very mean to take money from these people that are just trying to start a new,
excited about a concept, and
thinking in a new land and that kind of thing. So he obviously considered a very, very bad fraud.
Man, that's great.
So it's like, is this fake news, this lack of truth,
right,
new? And so
it doesn't appear to be.
I did find a couple of very interesting quotes, and so it's kind of in that taking the idea of these days. Is it just these days? And so one is from Pascal, the 17th century mathematician. Yeah. We named a
computer programming
after him. Very important guy.
Right.
He's got a quote that's: "Truth is so obscure in these times, and falsehood so established, that unless we love the truth, we cannot know it."
And that was like 600 years ago, or
right. And he's talking again these times. So
yeah.
Where is the truth right now? And so he's in the 17th centuries, and he's still asking, where is the truth?
I'm sorry, 400. Ironically, I didn't do math very well on the mathematician's quote.
That is ironic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do math.
He would be very disappointed.
Well, he's rolling over in his grave.
And of course, we know George Orwell.
Oh yeah.
A little bit more.
I love Animal Farm.
A little bit newer as far as 1940s. And his quote that I found that was also very interesting: "In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act."
In the time of a universal deceit. Wow.
Again, they're both talking about their time period.
I know, and
they feel deceived. They feel like things are untrue in their time period, which is not unlike today.
I mean, just... and I know we've talked about it. I don't know if it's come up on the podcast, but how it's like every generation, it's like, oh, the generation this generation these days, or whatever. Or, we forget that sometimes things are in a loop. It passes through, you learn the hard way or whatever, and then you understand, and then you pass that along. It's time like, hasn't really... Is
time a string, or is time a sandwich? So it's kind of, we do kind of layer ourselves on top of it, itself.
It does.
And so it does kind of create more of a sandwich style. Is fake news new?
Right.
And well, if you research and do your research on, we read some articles and stuff like that. No, fake news is not new at all. It's not even a little bit new. If you want to take the first one.
Yeah, so in the fake news category, I guess, looking back at Egypt in the 13th century BC, Ramesses the Great, they had a battle of the Kadesh, and it was a crushing victory, is what it was portrayed as. It was actually a stalemate, but that didn't stop him from making all the battle scenes and the way that they're painted on the temples to kind of bolster this image. So the visual propaganda showing the story, and of course in
So
a
Ramesses
legacy
is like
fashion.
telling all his people, "We won!
And we beat them, and they,
Go us!"
And
No.
but it wasn't really. So of course, it shows glory to, I guess, that dynasty, if you will, and it kind of makes it it controls that narrative of war. So what else we got?
And you've got Mark Antony and Octavian are campaigning against one another, and so there becomes this political campaign. And we're talking 31 BC, so we're talking some time ago. We're talking politics. We're talking a political campaign. There's this accusation of what do you call it? The negative, the smear campaign, where you're going to smear your opponent. So
Sure.
they displayed Mark Antony as drunken and weak and just this terrible person. And so the smear campaign is not new either. That is not a new concept of human history.
Right. Yeah.
Especially, we got our democracy, the idea of voting and for different candidates.
Sure.
From ancient Greece.
We did.
And so, in ancient Rome picked that up as well. And so we've got, that early concept of sabotage towards campaigners and stuff like that. There is nothing new under the sun.
Oh, I know.
That's what's going on nowadays. It seems worse,
Right.
but only because we're in it.
Yeah, and we're.
But at the
like
time of yes, the Shakespearean play with the death of Caesar, that's a real story. They did kill him.
Right.
The political opponent that's getting too big for his britches, we're gonna get rid of him. That's not uncommon.
Right. Sure. So so the political realm, of course, had its own set of, I guess, manipulation of truths. Commercially, also, we had the Great Moon Hoax in 1835. So the New York Sun published a newspaper with articles claiming that Herschel, the astronomer, discovered life on the moon, and it included vegetation, animals, all these things. Well,
I believe there was pictures.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe come up with pictures later, but
I don't know, but
very.
Of course, if that happened now, we'd be like, really? But or we wouldn't. We'd go, no, it's fake. But it was fictional, and it was designed to, of course, make people subscribe to the newspaper, or of course to boost sales of it. So you have that motive as well, and that was,
which of course
almost
it became
200 years ago.
Especially at that time period, and we've fast forward quite a bit to the
Right.
1800s. But newspaper sales became something that everybody was striving for. And
Sure.
Anything you could do to sell a newspaper, anything you could do to kind of get your voice out there and become
Right.
influential and prominent.
It kind of led to the tabloids later.
Right. Well, yeah, that became a really big deal. And of course, we all learned this in school, the idea of yellow journalism that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
We learn it, and we kind of do scrape over it a little bit.
Right.
And, I think in education, there are certain things where, we're going to repeat, we're going to scrape over, certain parts of American history.
Yeah.
I feel like this one would probably be worth a real good classroom.
This would be a good unit to
a good
focus
unit,
on.
or at least one good day of really discussing why is yellow journalism terrifying.
Yeah.
Which it came about starting pretty much the propaganda that started the Spanish-American War. So. A war pretty much broke out in the advent of, or
everything was put together. Yeah,
we created the name later, I think, but in that whole concept of we need to use this platform that we have to support something that we're going to create,
right?
Such as the Spanish-American War. So,
I'm sure
it got the newspaper. Definitely out there, but what it also did was kind of give that idea for a lot of readers, this isn't something I trust anymore.
Right. They
And so
abuse their power.
there ended up being kind of the backlash of the yellow journalism that all of a sudden those big newspapers that were really being influential,
right,
became less and less used for, by the common folk.
Yeah, people just didn't trust it. So,
So little newspapers kind of shot up all over the place.
I see.
Localizing everything gave those readers something to trust.
Okay.
Because if you've got, a newspaper that, has, our area's weather and, our local high school sports and, that kind of thing, that's more trustworthy. I actually do know that was true.
Right.
I know that kid that ran that,
exactly
40-yard.
and you probably know the staff. You know the families and everyone that's mentioned in it. So
yes, and so there becomes this kind of more localized understanding of, okay, well, if we've got the local newspapers and we've got the local relationship, now anything that they say that is state or national,
right,
they're trusted because they are trusted as people already because they're putting the things that are localized.
True. I trust the local newspaper, therefore if they're publishing national stuff, then that's,
which of course after that time period pops up into World War II, World War I and II, but World War II, where your local newspapers are putting a lot more national situations going on. Everybody needs to know what's going on with the war.
Yeah, I mean, becoming a lot more globalized, and you kind of need to know what's beyond your street.
Yeah, that's great that, the local sports team did all right, but, what happened?
Right.
What happened to Germany? What's going on? I need to know. And so from there, it kind of got bigger and bigger again, where we go from news getting very localized so that it doesn't get, we don't get too much propaganda.
Sure.
Then after World War II, it was kind of like the propaganda machine built itself back up.
Right.
And then, of course, we fast forward to, the 2000s and to now where propaganda machine got, just massive. But we know this.
I know.
We are aware of the fact that a lot of trusted news sources, are kind of getting a lot of the same news. Maybe not all of that's
right.
And I'm sitting there going, everything's faked. But we did also. We're in 2025 now. We lived through 5 years of COVID.
We did.
You get to that point where, what do you believe?
You start wondering, okay, what's actually going on?
Right.
How do I determine whether this is true or not?
Because then you get news sources from here, you get news sources from here.
And it always conflicts, and it's like,
very conflicting.
So who is correct?
Is it local? Is it national?
Right.
Is it world?
Where's this coming from?
And then it got really twisted from there. And so the article that we got some of this more fake news stuff from Politico, it was written in 2016, so it's not today's time.
Right.
So it's before all of the maybe slightly crazier news setting.
Yeah.
That started in 2020.
And the polarization of everything being so.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much like throwing in the towel. At the end of the article is saying, everybody's getting more and more news sources from social media, and fake news is going to be just an accepted idea.
Right. Well.
And so that's kind of.
It's hard not to encounter it every day now.
Right.
In some
that's
fashion.
The end of the article is, and it's here forever.
Right. And that was almost 10 years ago, too.
Right. So in 2016, that's almost 10 years ago. So today's time of 2025 going into 2026, not too long from now, we're actually starting to see a difference now in what fake news is creating. Mm-hmm. And what it's creating is so many non-believers that now truth is just kind of shot. So, which may be a good thing.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it kind of in that whole idea of yellow journalism where, we are, talking about they are able to create a war off of propaganda.
Right.
Let's pull back.
Yeah, I see.
So let's not trust these few very large newspapers and pull back into a local concept.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's where we kind of need to be. We need to understand truth
right
on a different scale than what we started with.
Yeah, I mean, certainly being in groups and kind of embracing your local area and be able to get information out is important, but I think part of the challenge with that, the methods in which we do that, is still in mainstream, far-reaching method. I mean, say social media.
But it's gotten so fake, you believe nothing.
Right. I know.
Which again, maybe it's a great answer.
And it's the problem too. You're hiding behind a profile. Would we act differently speaking face to face?
Well, yeah.
Would we act differently actually writing out something? That extra hint of humanity with that. Are we lying to ourselves just as much as lying to someone else when we feel like what we're saying isn't even, I mean, we know it's not real, but does it really feel real when you're using it through a platform that you're kind of hiding behind? It in itself isn't tangible. So what does that mean psychologically? Are we, I don't know. Because, I mean, you see a lot of people posting stuff online and making comments about that, and you kind of go, I wouldn't say that, but what do they got to lose?
Right. Well, they don't know these people.
Exactly. So there's no tie.
Which is kind of maybe what might bring us back into truth is a little more in front of you. Truth is
right.
Or we can go with Plato.
Okay, what about
Plato's idea of truth? Again, ancient history is fascinating because they're really still dealing with the same thing.
Sure.
The human understanding.
Right.
So obviously Plato's a Greek philosopher, and the truth for Plato is the unchanging of reality. So I'll go ahead and directly quote the philosopher is in love with truth. That is, not with the changing world of sensation, which is an object of opinion, but with an unchanging reality, which is the object of knowledge. So that unchanging reality, that human spirit, that what makes us truth, what makes us real, that is the thing. And I don't think Plato's wrong at all in this, that's the truth.
Yeah.
those sensationalized bits. I think that's when we need to take pause, when something's, when it's too good to be true.
Right.
You're right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And those little, especially in the politics and stuff like that, if it looks like, oh, that really fits what I think, it's probably fake. That neither one are going to fit what you think. The truth is somewhere
in the middle,
in the thing that maybe makes you slightly uncomfortable, because that is politics.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're not slightly uncomfortable on one side or the other, then you're believing snake oil. Pretty much. It should be, truth is not always delicious. It's going to be, it's going to have some sour in there somewhere.
Exactly. Yep. That makes sense.
And it's going to be something that's, more trusted in that, unchanging idea.
Yeah. So what do you think the fix with all of this is? Like, how do you see the future, since this is what we're dealing with? And of course, we were talking a little bit about initially with AI and how there are videos that aren't real. We've talked about stories that aren't real. There are products going to New York or wherever, things that aren't real. Where do we go if we can't trust anything? Like, how do we combat this?
Well, just like when you are taking in Bible study,
Mm-hmm.
When you read the Bible, you can't just read it in tiny little pieces.
Right.
So of course we do, and we put verses out there that mean something to us, and you're taking and you're extracting from the story itself. But at some point, that's the truth is in the story, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't kind of have if it's not repeated,
like a backing to something.
Yeah, if it doesn't have backing, if it's not constant, then it's just a piece.
Okay.
Then it's just a one idea. It's not the whole thing.
Right.
The whole thing needs backing. It needs all of it. So it needs to kind of keep showing up.
Sure.
Kind of the same thing with reality versus, we'll go with AI reality, where it's, if it has no real backing.
Yeah.
You're pretty much, know there's nothing true about it.
Right.
And we do need to teach.
Mm-hmm.
We do as much as we can and repeat ourselves way too often.
Right.
But we do need to teach that discernment, especially when they're young.
Yeah.
We do that to our kids so they roll their eyes, but
Right.
I want to make sure that they know that not everything you see is true.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so we need to teach discernment. We need to teach critical thinking skills.
Mm-hmm.
And we do need to make sure that we are putting a lot of effort into teaching those critical thinking skills, not just, you can't always believe what you hear, but, really dig deep in why is this wrong?
Sure.
Why would you believe something like this?
Right.
That kind of thing. Really dig deep in everything that you hear, because, a lot of it's going to be propaganda.
Yeah. And like you talked about, having a backing, everything you do here, you kind of try to attach it to something you're comfortable with or familiar with, or, where do I put this? Mm-hmm. And if it's just out of left field, doesn't make sense, and that's something to wonder about, and you got to ask the questions. What's the motivation? Why would someone say this? Where's the credibility? And you just need to learn those skills.
Right.
So.
And the most tangible answer is, I'm almost positive that for a new job in society is going to be authenticators.
And authenticators. So someone that
we have it
evaluates
I used to sell vintage furniture,
right here.
antiques, things like that. In the antique world, people can authenticate your antique.
Sure.
They can authenticate your papers, things like that.
Right.
There's very, very small group of people that have that capability of digging into and knowing this kind of stuff. We've got wonderful shows on the TV with authenticators that
like Antique Roadshow.
What's the newer one? It's
Pawn Stars.
Pawn Stars, that's it. Exactly. And so they'll authenticate the things that people have brought in.
Sure.
I think that we will find more and more job opportunities for people that really have a niche. Mm-hmm. They know something just really, really well.
Right.
That they become authenticators.
And it makes sense. I mean, kind of having a big, broad knowledge about something specific. I know that sounds almost like a paradox, but being able to discern, being able to be the referee or whatever, saying, okay, yes, this is real, this is not. Maybe, I guess, legal instances or...
Right. I mean, fake videos, fake pictures,
I guess the implications can be anywhere, but
you can fake history.
Yeah, fake paperwork, exactly. And it's like, hey, I mean, because we can make anything look real, especially in the digital world. Here's the document. I mean, how many times do we have documents that we need to send out and whatever? You'd have to analyze it and make sure that this is actually to the code of the file. Yes, this was not fabricated using any means, But yeah.
Yeah,
I can certainly see that being... I really see that
as like,
you've
got lawyers, you've got, other people that are fighting for constitution and truth and things like that. I think you're going to have authenticators as an actual job that you go around and make sure that things are actually true.
Isn't it funny? Because, I mean, I just think back to, say, 15 years ago, we'd look at the web to look up something to see if it was true.
Right.
And now we're thinking about a new career to discern whether what we find or interact with is actually true.
Right.
So, again, full circle, times haven't changed.
Not really.
I think I need to get a loan on a ship.
No.
I can get a loan on a ship I don't own, and it's even better.
Still have a soul, and you need to make sure that's maintained.
Yes, definitely. So.
And so, I guess also, what does it mean for AI?
Right. I mean,
we use AI. AI is our fun co-host.
It is.
It's not to shove this whole concept aside.
Not at all.
And I think at some point we just have to see it as art.
Yeah. I mean, it is based on, you kind of need to interpret it in some way too. I guess kind of like art. Mm-hmm. And
art is a communication. It's an interpretation of, something that you're trying to relay to someone else.
Right.
And so when we have fake out there on social media or out there on the internet and stuff like that,
right?
It is art.
And I think a big part of why it's being used is because I can create a video or modify a video or audio or whatever and make it seem so realistic. And that's the manipulative angle. It's like, this is believable because your eyes and your ears say, wow, that's got to be true. But there's art in the creation of that.
And so, we can't, just always be afraid of it. We can see it as art.
Yeah, definitely.
And see it as a communication in a way. If you go into any museum with like really older
classic stuff,
classic paintings, that kind of thing, you look at the Madonna. Half of them she's blonde.
Right.
Which we know that's not even
good old Renaissance.
Right. It's not even possible. It's not true. But it's the eye of the beholder. It's the interpretation.
It's the relatable perspective.
Right. Yeah. So who decided to paint it?
Yeah.
It's not meant to show you, truth.
Right.
It's meant to show you an interpretation.
Yeah, exactly.
And in that interpretation, maybe a feeling.
Sure.
And so I think we need to kind of go into this whole new AI setting as it's not meant to be truth.
Yeah.
It was never meant to be truth.
Well, even in using it as a tool, they say, in other words, check anything that's important. Don't
always
trust
check
it.
Back.
Which again, the whole purpose of using it as a tool, just like we used to say, oh, it's on the internet, it must have been true. Well, what do you think AI is? It's scrubbing the internet and other sources. So if you don't know your answer, right? If you don't know your answer well enough to be able to tell whether that's fact or fiction or, inaccurate, then maybe you should reconsider how you're using it and to check things. But, it's just to blame the technology, mindlessly, I don't think is a good approach.
Right. I mean, keep going with the authenticity.
Yeah.
Those who are writing articles, those who are,
sure,
putting things out there to really still dig into historical fact and things like that. Keep putting that kind of stuff out there and become an authenticator and
that's interesting.
Really dig deep into something that you're very passionate about.
Know your craft.
Be the authenticator for the next shift.
Be your Library of Alexandria for what you're passionate about, and then help others figure out what is what.
Yes, we need to always have those people that really have that niche.
Definitely. Sounds good. Well, that was pretty interesting. I learned a lot historically, and as far as how a lot of these things really have just played themselves century after century, and just different scenarios.
Right, so. And that's the whole thing is there is no fake news that's new under the sun.
Right.
There is no con that's new under the sun.
Yep, tale as old as time.
We do it differently now, but it's not new by any means.
Yep, different tool, but same thing. Yeah.
Same human.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up, and please review or follow us on your favorite platform while you're there. Just go ahead and take care of it. It really helps us get us out there more, and always appreciate the feedback. Visit winternetweb.com. Check out some of the products that we have, some unique merchandise that we have online. You can continue your Christmas shopping today with an interesting gift for your tech geek fanatic. And we have a lot of other neat things there. But unplugging for now.
But always stay connected.